Hey Aquarius, what's going on? We're here with a timeless reading. When I was meditating before the reading, I was getting the number 24 coming through. We're starting off with Queen of Swords and Hermit. This is you spending time looking into something, figuring something out. I'm hearing deduce. You may be deducing something. Looking for answers. Some of you, you're researching. I'm seeing a phone here. All right. I'm also looking at Emperor. I feel like everybody, meaning like all the different parts of your life, or maybe a certain major part of your life, is sort of like looking towards you, looking to you to figure something out. So let's say like with the Emperor, this is like a big chunk of your life that is like some type of significant, important area of your life where there's something that you're doing, getting done. You could be completing something, you could be finalizing something, could be putting something together. Whatever it is, this is going towards what you're working for within your life. The way that this Emperor is coming out, it looks like it's looking towards you in hermit mode, being like waiting for the information to then be able to move forward. So it feels like you're collaborating with a part of yourself that's connected with your discernment, with your ability to sort of like understand and process information. And so whatever this is that you're sort of like calculating or sorting through or figuring out or looking for the way about, so this is like you over there in your process trying to figure this out. If you look at this, it looks like the Emperor, which is you, looking over to that part of yourself being like, hey, do we have an answer yet? That's what this is feeling like. So something this feels like something that you already have going on. You may not be able to, you may have to stay and wait until this is figured out. Like you can't proceed because it looks like this part of yourself that's like, hey, waiting for the answer, let me know when you have it. And it's about something that you're looking into. And I'm definitely seeing you have to like figure this out, whatever's sort of showing up, you understanding it. I'm hearing what's the hold up. I'm seeing 5 of Cups. This feels like maybe annoyed with having to wait for something. See, now the 5 of Cups is also looking that way too. It's like Emperor is looking over here like, hey, do you have the answer? Then this guy over here is looking at the Emperor kind of like, hey, I thought you'd be here already. So maybe you thought that you'd have something done already, but it's not done. Or you'd like be at a certain, when it comes to the Emperor, it can be like, these are my goals, or this is how I want my life to look, or this is what I'm doing at my job. It can be like those big types of things, or like how I'm showing up within my relationships. So there can be a part of you that's reflective of that. That's like looking at this other part of yourself and is like, I thought that we would have done this already. I thought that we would have finished this already. I thought that we would have been there already. So it feels like something didn't necessarily align with your like preconceived sort of expectations of this. I'm hearing something about a detour. You could feel like this is impacting you emotionally now, but you could also be looking back at certain things and being like, I should have done this over there. I should have done that over here, like that type of thing as you're processing through this. So maybe you're sort of doing a review and recognizing things that you wouldn't necessarily repeat or would do differently, like that type of thing. So those things can be coming up. I'm seeing you try to gauge your feelings. Maybe also too, something about things maybe not going exactly how you thought it would. It feels like it puts you back in touch with your feelings. Maybe brings you back to a space of like you very purely feeling something. So it like brings you back into a space where you feel like a pure sense of connection and like understanding for your emotions. I'm hearing the word dissolve. I said I was getting the number 24 before the reading that was coming through. Feeling your way through something, but also having to figure it out in other ways. Having Page of Cups and having the World feels like emotionally, intuitively getting to a point where something is now understood. Because this even feels like the part of you that can be very logical and maybe at times like weighing rationale over feelings. It feels like that part of you needed to check in and understand another part of you. Like the air part of you had to understand the water part of you. Like water is going to be your feelings. Air is that like intellectual, like cerebral type of energy. And it feels like they sort of had to learn about each other. Because this Page of Cups looks like not concerned with anything except the sort of like feelings that are right in front of them. And it feels like Queen of Swords is you sort of like intellectually understanding what that means. And they needed to figure out, these energies needed to figure out something together. Some of you can have your sort of figuring out something with your child, and you could feel like you guys sort of work in different ways, and there's something going on where you needed to like sort of understand. I don't know if it was just understanding them with something, but it feels like along the lines of that, where you could feel sometimes like a little bit distant from that part of their world. This can be a side note for some of you. And now getting to the point where you're like sort of understanding more about how they process the emotions right in front of them. And that may be like telling you something too, because maybe this is putting you in touch with you processing your own emotions as well. Because some of you may be more inclined to sort of process something intellectually rather than emotionally, but then feel like some distance at times because of that. So yeah, there may be something about a child now that's like coming into play here. This can also be your inner child as well. It's a very, very pure energy that I'm seeing here, and it's a very, very like feeling type of energy. Like this can be very intuitive, very sensitive, very much like I see the world through the lens of my feelings, like that type of thing. And needing to figure something out, needing to understand something. And this can also be the logical part of you that's connecting with the intuitive part of you and being like, what does this mean? What do these things mean? And needing to figure out like, how am I going to apply that to a situation that I have going on now? How do I take these feelings and sort of apply them to like actionable understanding and how I'm going to move through this? And looking for some type of answer within that. So there can even be this like intellectual side of you that's trying to feel into something, to tune into something and get some type of answer. I'm seeing that you're about to complete this process. So whatever it was that you were looking for, we have the World here, which is like a successful completion of whatever you were trying to do. Then having us start off with the Emperor after the World comes out means that you're going to be ready to go with something, because whatever the Emperor had been waiting on, like, hey, you got that answer yet? I'm seeing you're going to be in a space where that answer has been acquired, has been obtained, and then it seems like you're going to be able to move forward. But before that, something was on hold. Looking for an answer, something like that. An answer, understanding something, those types of things. Does something still not feel as clear as you thought that it would be? You may get some clarity, but maybe not as much as you wanted, because I'm seeing 7 of Cups, so like what does that mean? You could feel disappointed with like an answer that you get. Maybe because you wanted it to... I don't know if you wanted more clarity or you wanted a bigger answer, you wanted it to apply to more, but I'm seeing Seven of Cups come out. Confusion about stuff happening in the future. So something is unclear about what's coming. But you could have had like plans about what was going to be happening, and you could be looking at this being like, I thought we were going to have this sorted out already. I feel too with Five of Cups and Three of Swords, Five of Cups and Three of Wands, you can be like making progress accepting a cycle that you're in. So with like processing through that emotionally, also, I feel like you're looking at something that is like beyond your control because it already happened the way that it did. And you may be like a little bit fixated or preoccupied on this. It feels like it's falling back onto the Emperor. So this can be, again, that coming back to, I thought that I would have done this by now, or I thought that I would have been this far, or I thought that like we would have been here, you know, it's like those types of things. Like Emperor has to do with like these life moments that can feel significant, like big life goals and stuff like that you have going on, where it's like, that's what I accomplished in my life and that's what I'm leaving behind, like those types of things where it's like, that's what I'm living my life for. Something is going on where I feel like you thought something would have happened already and it didn't. It either didn't happen how you thought it would, or it like the timing was different than you had anticipated. You could also feel like something should have been more clear than it is now at this point. But it feels too like you're recognizing something with Saturn. You could be looking at the Saturn within your chart and realizing wherever Capricorn rules within your chart, wherever Saturn rules, whatever house Capricorn is within your chart in whole signs, whatever houses that Saturn rules within your birth chart, there are going to be two of them, Aquarius and Capricorn, in whole signs. This is where you can experience delays. And so you may be making a connection here and being like, now I'm understanding why my expectation was one thing and why it showed up like way behind what I thought it would. Because it feels like that may be something that is going to express an answer that you had been looking for. Because you could have been trying everything. Because the Emperor is you being in a space where you're like, I'm willing to show up and do what needs to be done and like so on and so forth. And the world can be like, it doesn't matter how hard you try, this is going to be delayed, or it's not going to be on the time that you think it is. It's like you wearing like a 40-pound vest and nobody else is, and so you like lag in the race that's happening, but then it's going to get lifted and you're going to be able to move faster than everybody else because of having like strengthened these muscles. So it's something that you could feel like there's like a lagging behind and needing to catch up, but then you're sort of going to surpass at a certain point where you thought you were going to go or what was going to happen. So you end up like pleasantly surprised for the most part in the end. But there can be something now where you're like, this also throws off now like my future plans too because of that. So it feels just like there's a lot of coming to terms with where you are now, understanding stuff, understanding your feelings, breaking them down. You could also be understanding like the astrological implications of this too. Making sense of something that still may not be completely clear yet at this point. This Emperor and this Seven of Cups feels like it's still sitting with you, where there may be this feeling of being a bit perplexed still. Is there any advice about this? It feels like this is something where you were like, I wanted to know this already, or I feel like you got some of an answer, but maybe not all of the answer that you wanted. A little at a time. That's what consistency, being practical, doing quality work, whatever it is that you're doing. Do not cut corners. Saturn will bring you back to redo it again and again. So this is just like taking your time and being consistent and like stable, reliable, paying attention to what you're doing, learning whenever there's stuff in front of you to learn from, those types of things. Okay. I feel like we're ending on this note. There can be still some stuff that's up in the air that's connected with where things are going, that's connected with the future type stuff. Like, I'm not sure, are we going to land over there or over there? It's like that type of thing as you're moving through this. But I'm seeing you really making a lot of progress with sort of your understanding of everything that's going on. It feels too like you may feel like there's a part of you that's more delayed than you wanted to be. It feels like the part of you that connects and that feels things. And you can be looking at that part of yourself, and for some reason there's something going on here, like there's something being felt. I want to know why, because I'm seeing like 5 of Cups looking over at Page of Cups. Is it like, I don't know, what would be the problem? Because like Page of Cups in and of itself isn't really an issue. The only thing that I can think is that when it comes to Page of Cups, which is like that part of you that's like connected and tuned in and feeling things, there can be some sort of like regret or sadness or something that isn't exactly how you thought it would be right now in this moment. It feels like this is being healed too. Some of you, you're healing something having to do with like emotional inner child. Because I don't usually see Page of Cups as being inner child, but this is feeling like something that you're like looking back into or looking back at. And it's just this part of you doing something. Maybe it has to do with even the way that you interpreted something, or the way that it could be like maybe you went through something and you had a certain like takeaway from it, and you're like, I'm interpreting what I'm feeling or what I'm sensing as meaning this, and maybe things didn't then go how you expected them to go based off of like what you were feeling out. And that's why both of these energies have to work together, because it's not solely about feeling into things, and it's also not solely about intellectualizing things. It's about bringing these energies together where there's a sense of analysis, like a cerebral analysis, but there's also like an emotional and feeling tuning in and like a sensing that's happening. I do feel like you can blame this on inexperience if you look back, because it's just a page, you could be like, I really thought that it meant that, and I feel disappointed that that's not what that meant. It feels like that type of thing. And now I thought that we were going to be here, like that was going to lead to there, and then it didn't, and now I'm feeling like I'm behind too. Like it's that type of thing that I'm seeing here. But I'm actually seeing you very much be on track. I feel like you were delayed astrologically is what this is feeling like. I'm hearing viable. I'm looking at Virgo and Aries and also Saturn here. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.